100th video. Nobody's gonna care. I'm gonna come up with this idea, but nobody's gonna watch it. How embarrassing for I don't know who, myself, I guess, and just answer, you know, what comes to mind for each question. I just feel like I am hanging out with you guys. I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to be a heavily tattooed individual. No, it's just something that feels right for me, and I will always do what feels right. Unhappy, I just was lost. I felt like I wasn't doing anything. I was just kind of like existing. Whatever it may be, I wanted that for you too. I also want you to find that in your day. I don't care how old I am. I have to count on my fingers, or I have to use a calculator, and I'm never gonna lie about that. Not really, but I had the thought that, you know, people would be like, what is happening? Like, are you okay? You have everything that you need to do this, so do it. And so he has a YouTube channel. What does that mean? Because I don't surround myself in an environment that's very judgmental. I don't feel judged by decisions I make or ideas I have. Hi guys, and welcome to my 100th video. I have made 100 videos at this point, so that is blowing my mind. I've created all my videos from scratch. I've come up with all the ideas. I've, in my opinion, have gotten better at the editing and the sound and, you know, all the things that I didn't have the best knowledge on. So this is super exciting, and I figured I would go ahead and do my Q&A video for it. I had this requested, which was so awesome. I don't know, sometimes doing YouTube, you're like, oh, I'm gonna put that up, nobody's gonna care. I'm gonna come up with this idea, but nobody's gonna watch it. And so even with it first being requested, I also kind of hung on to hesitation about posting that I needed questions for the Q&A, because my first thought was how embarrassing for I don't know who, myself, I guess, if no one puts any questions there. But then the other half of me was like, okay, if you make a post and nobody responds with questions, then you're in the same exact situation that you were already in, and you just won't make the video. But I went ahead and I posted the you know, what are your questions, and I received comments back, and I think four people responded, which doesn't sound like a lot maybe to some people, but I didn't think I'd get one response, so it was just nice. And also, not only was it the 4 separate comments, but they put so many questions in each comment. So I have them screenshot on my phone, and I'm gonna go through some of them and just answer, you know, what comes to mind for each question. I won't go through all of them. There was a lot of questions, like I said, in those 4 comments, which I so appreciate. So I'll pick a few and then we'll go from there. Okay, so bear with me because I didn't actually pick out the questions I want to answer. I'm going to skim through them and just kind of answer them as I come across the ones I want to answer. So this one is, what type of videos do you enjoy filming the most? And I've kind of touched on this in the past. I adore the hangout type videos, like when I start a project and I'm just talking and thinking out loud, or maybe like the office videos where I'm hanging things or organizing them, and I just feel like I am hanging out with you guys. I just love that feeling of like I'm not by myself in the room doing these things, that maybe when you guys watch them back, you're on the other end of things doing something that you enjoy as well, and we're just hanging out together, if that makes sense. And also with these questions, I'm gonna try to not ramble. Like, I've been trying to make that a goal of mine. So I'm gonna answer them and I'm just gonna move forward as I'm rambling right now. Next question is, what advice do I have for getting a first tattoo? I would, number one, make sure that the shop that you choose feels right. I went to a shop in the past in searching for my first tattoo experience, and I walked into the shop and the vibe was weird. I wasn't obviously tattooed at the time, and they didn't even look in my direction, based off, I guess, maybe they just, I don't even know. It just felt off. The whole thing felt off. And so I left, and then, I did some more searching, and I came across the shop that I stayed at for quite some time, like 10 years of my tattooing experience. And it was always welcoming. It felt like a very just neutral, like good environment. I never felt awkward. I never felt like I didn't belong there, no matter how much work I was getting, like from the very first tattoo till I ended up switching shops, basically. So, and then second of all, of course, you want to make sure that you're with a reputable artist. They have work to show. It's an established, not even established, because new artists need to learn as well. Just somebody that you genuinely feel like you can trust. I think that's first and foremost when getting a tattoo. You're going to be working with this person, for quite some time if you continue to become tattooed or, move further in the process. And I just think that the relationship with your artist is important. That would be my main advice. The story of my first tattoo, that's a good one. I went when I was 18, as soon as I could get a tattoo. I was already a mother at that time, and I got my first child's name. And it started, this goes into her next question, which is, at what point in your life did you realize you wanted to look the way you do now? That your intention was to be fully tattooed. So when I got my very first tattoo, actually I believe I was 19 at the time, because I did have my first child at 18, but I shortly turned 19 after having her. So I was 19 when I got my first tattoo. But from that moment on, I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to be a heavily tattooed individual. I was not only hooked on the environment, but I was hooked on the process, the idea of just being in the industry of tattooing. I don't know, there was something so captivating about it. I actually just went to a tattoo convention, and it's been quite some years that I've had that feeling again, because you just kind of fall into tattooing and you're like, okay, well, I'm getting another tattoo. What's the big deal? But this is what brought back that feeling, is at that convention, I just feel like when you're tattooed, you're an actual piece of walking art. And just seeing each type of tattoo style, or the person and how they look or present themselves, or I would see someone and go, wow, I love their layout. But then right behind them, I would see another person was like, oh my goodness, I love their layout. And just, it's And I also was telling someone that, you know, in this convention, there were people that were not even tattooed. And it was just an environment where you knew you could be there. It didn't matter if you weren't tattooed. It didn't matter if you had one tattoo. I loved seeing that couples, there would be like couples and one person was heavily tattooed and the other person had 0 tattoos. And I just think that if you are an artist or love work or whatever it may be that gets you into tattooing, then you know what I'm talking about. It's otherwise you probably think I sound like an insane person. But my point to not rambling was that when I got my first tattoo, it was something that just clicked, and I've never stopped getting tattooed. I have no intentions on stopping tattooing. I don't know. It's just something that feels right for me, and I will always do what feels right. So, this one is, what made you start a YouTube channel? And in the past, I've kind of touched on this as well. And what I think they also ask, it's later in here, somebody also asks, which these two questions kind of pertain to each other, but what made you start the YouTube channel? And then there was another question about what are your goals with the YouTube channel? So I'll just talk about these side by side. But when I started the YouTube channel, I was in a super lost, dark place of just not even knowing what I wanted in life anymore. I wasn't unhappy. I just was lost. I felt like I wasn't doing anything. I was just kind of like existing and doing the same things every day. And so I started this channel finally to have an outlet for that. And I realized that it came down to the fact I was no longer creating or using my mind for anything other than like how many loads of laundry did I have? Were the dishes done? Did I vacuum that floor today? Just things that are important, but not to your like brain growing, you know? So I just felt like I was wasting like gifts I was given and talents I had. I just was doing nothing with those. So I created a platform for that. YouTube gives me the freedom to post whatever I want, whenever I want, and I'm able to get that out of my system. And which I've touched on the videos in my like updates of how much it's just rounded me out again as a human being and made me realize like that's exactly what was happening. I just wasn't treating myself very kindly other than, you know, taking care of everything else, but not pouring back into my cup. That's what they say, you know, when you become like, you know, a wife and a mother, which those are wonderful things. I'm so thankful to be those, but I'm also was a person before all of that, you know, so I wasn't pouring back into my own cup, which was coming out very unhealthy. So the next question that leads into is what was the goal with creating this channel? And the goals were to find other people like myself that were lost or are lost and don't believe that they have any gifts any longer, or they don't give themselves enough time, you know, to create or figure out what it is that they're looking for. And I hope that in some sort of way that if you've seen me paint or you've seen me collage, that you're like, wow, if she can do that and has time in her day, I can do that too, you know? I think it's just important to find something like that. So if this is the place for you that you are like, wow, I'm going to start doing something creative, whether it be journaling for 5 minutes a day or taking more photos because you love photography, whatever it may be, I wanted that for you too. I also want you to find that in your day, even if it's 3 minutes of your day, it can make all the difference. So that was very important for me also in creating the platform. Let's see. Any big plans for the rest of 2025? No, just keep working. I have established consistency. I want to continue to work and create and run a household all throughout the year and just feel good about it at the end of the day. What are your favorite movies? I love horror movies. Those are my top choice. If we're gonna pick something to watch, it's gonna be a horror movie. I love like independent films, just crazy. So for reference, like a month ago, we watched a movie called Popeye the Slayer Man, and it sounds ridiculous, but it was really good. It was actually really good. And I love Rob Zombie's horror situation, all the things he's created, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, I love those. Also, I love Quentin Tarantino. His style of movie is just like, it's almost nostalgic feeling. So those are, I watch a lot of his stuff. What TV shows do I watch? Garbage TV. I just watch so much garbage TV. Like at the moment, and that's fine, you can comment if you're just not on the train, but I'm watching Love Island. Like it's just such hot garbage, but in like some tattooing videos, I've asked like what shows are you guys watching and stuff, because at the end of my day, I do feel like my brain is so full of things that I want to sit down and watch something that requires me to do nothing. I don't have to think about it that much, though Love Island does have me like thinking about it. If you're watching Love Island, comment your thoughts. I'd love to know them. What type of music do I like? I am very open to music. I have probably listened to most types of music. It honestly depends on my mood. I don't know if anybody can relate to this. I love NF. I love Ashnikko, but I also love Post Malone and Morgan Wallen. Like it's all over the place, and I know those aren't all types of music, but like I grew up with my grandma in the car and we listened to classical music. You know, my dad listened to rock music. I was exposed to a lot of music, so I think I appreciate a lot of different types of music, but it always depends on my mood. And I know we all have playlists. Like you have a sad playlist, you have a cleaning playlist, and it just depends on what's happening in your day. My favorite subject at school was reading. I love reading. I loved English. Art, obviously. I was in any type of art class I could be in, even through college. And I just love I loved creative writing. Anything to do with just like, I'm not a math person. If anybody's a math person, I just admire you, because I am still the type of person, I don't care how old I am, I have to count on my fingers, or I have to use a calculator, and I'm never gonna lie about that. I am not equipped to. I had done some waitressing in the past where you had to like make change, you know? And I'm sitting there just like, no. And I'm talking simple math. Like, I'm never going to lie about that. I wish I was better at it. It's not for me. So, wait a minute, one sec. This is a good one pertaining to music again. Sorry, my screen was blocked by like information from the screenshot, but have I seen any bands or artists in concert? I have. When I was a teenager, I saw NSYNC. Sorry. Maybe some of you don't know who they are or were, but I did see NSYNC a couple times. I've seen Imagine Dragons. I've seen Fall Out Boy. I've seen Lorde. I went to a Post Malone concert years back. It was the best night I think I've ever had in my whole life. I saw NF in concert. Incredible concert. There's more. My oldest, which I'm going to bring this up because I'm still a little salty about it, but my oldest saw Korn and Evanescence was there. It was anybody an Evanescence fan because I'm so jealous that she saw them in concert. So that is one I didn't see, but I know someone who saw. That was off subject. But anyway, then I'm going to answer this probably as my last question, but it says, do your friends and family know about your YouTube channel? And they do. When I started YouTube over a year ago, I didn't say anything until I had come up with the theme of why I was starting it, you know, created everything about it, and my first YouTube video was going to premiere. I sent it out to, you know, my family and my friends, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little, like, not really, but I had the thought that, you know, people would be like, what is happening? Like, are you okay? No one did that. In fact, everybody was so supportive and just like, I don't know, it was amazing. And it kind of like could make me emotional because even my husband, like, I was just, like I said, in a weird place. And so he was nothing but like, you should do this. You could do this. You could kill this, you know, like you have everything that you need to do this, so do it. And so then it just, you know, my closest friends and family, they've watched the videos, they've liked the videos, they've given me opinions, they've, you know, it's just nice when you do start it alone and you feel alone and you're like, okay, this is scary, but then you do it and everyone's like, of course you started a YouTube channel. Like, also, I think it came a lot from wanting to teach. Like, I wanted to teach art. I always wanted to be an artist of some sort. So I think, you know, not continuing my education to teach, but now having a platform where I feel like I'm in a sense, you know, like doing what I love, that was nice to have that support too. I think just knowing that no one thought I was insane. It just seemed like something I would do. You know, I'm pretty, I'm the type of person that like will just start something or just do something because I want to, you know? And so it's much better when you have like a backup to it and people that you can talk to about it. Even like my husband went out to breakfast and mentioned it to his friends, and his friends were like, oh, she has a YouTube channel? Like, why didn't you tell us? And they all got on and followed, and it's just a really nice feeling that no one was like, and maybe they thought this, I don't know, but no one was like she has a YouTube channel. What does that mean? So it was just very supportive. And I'm thankful for that, because I think that's a lot of the reason that I'm able to just do things I want, because I don't surround myself in an environment that's very judgmental. I don't feel judged by decisions I make or ideas I have. I just go forward with them. So I appreciate everybody that left the questions. I know I didn't get to all of them. I could do another one of these if this is something that you didn't hate. Leave a question, because it's fun. Like I said, these are my favorite type of videos to do, is just hang out and feel like I am talking to you as another human being. So if you have any more questions, I would love to do another one of these in the future. And if you made it this far, I can't thank you enough for being here or caring or whatever it is you're doing. If you're not watching the whole video, but you're liking it, or you're commenting, or you're even clicked on my channel, I mean, that's more than I could even ask for. So I will see you on the next video.